Hello, I'm Toks Omishakin, California's Transportation Secretary. Although I can't be with you today, I want to thank AASHTO's appointed and elected leadership and Shannon Eggleston for allowing me to send in a recorded message for the agency administration meeting on equity today. I believe we're at a critical moment in our transportation future. There's policy and funding alignment at the local, state, and federal levels on climate, equity, and safety, unlike we've ever had prior. And here in California, we are leading a massive transformation in transportation policy that began with us prioritizing outcomes for people. You know, equity isn't just some abstract concept when it comes to transportation. It is part of the fabric of everything we're doing in California to achieve our vision of a cleaner, safer, more accessible, and more connected future for all Californians. You know, the truth is, equity has not always been a primary consideration when it comes to transportation. For all people, mobility is not just a means to an end, it's a lifeline. It's an absolute lifeline. Every person of every race, age, ability, and socioeconomic status should have safe and equitable transportation access and not worry that bias, explicit or implicit, plays into the equation. And that's why we strive to influence greater opportunities through equitable and accessible mobility for all people in our state. Equity and climate action go hand in hand, as a healthy environment is also inherently an equity issue. Just as important as climate action, we prioritize equity and safety implementation in every aspect of our work. And we've embedded these principles in our Climate Action Plan for Transportation Infrastructure, also known as CalSTA. CalSTA is our North Star framework to guide our transportation investments and align them with the state's aggressive climate targets for a more equitable and accessible transportation system. We're also working to fully integrate justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in all aspects of our work. Caltrans, our Department of Transportation, is developing an equity index tool that will help evaluate and prioritize projects and assess the degree to which a proposed investment has equity benefits. You know, after listening sessions conducted this year with local and regional community-based organizations, Caltrans, the California Transportation Commission, and my agency just put out a call for applicants for a new interagency equity advisory committee. We're seeking to elevate diverse and historically marginalized voices in decision-making, including Black, Indigenous, and people of color, LGBTQIA people, low-income and unhoused people, older adults, young people, rural communities, and more. We believe having this advisory committee will help us achieve meaningful outcomes in transportation equity, environmental justice, and economic opportunities that stem from transportation planning and programming. In my prior role as Caltrans Director, the department adopted an equity policy statement and published its first Race Equity Action Plan, which paved the way for equity to be part of its core values. To ensure that we're making systemic changes, our entire team is engaged in quarterly justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion workshops. Our departments as well are developing their own training on race and equity, and Caltrans has developed a diverse hiring panel program to reduce implicit bias in the hiring process. California is at a historic period of alignment with the Biden-Harris administration in advancing our mutual transportation policy goals on climate action, equity, safety, and making our states and the nation's transportation system more efficient and resilient. Our CalSTA plan aligns with the Biden-Harris administration's recent policy on using bipartisan infrastructure law resources to build a better America, and we're working with California stakeholders to advance competitive federal grant applications that further these mutual goals. To ensure we are applying for the most impactful projects A robust analysis is conducted, assessing each potential project's alignment with CalSTA, as well as our guiding transportation, freight mobility, and state rail plans. Last but not least, we're putting our money where our mouth is. Governor Gavin Newsom and our legislature enacted a state budget that includes a historic $47 billion multi-year infrastructure package. These investments reflect California's highest transportation priorities and will accelerate our transition to a cleaner, safer, more connected, and more equitable transportation system. Included in this budget is a $150 million Highways to Boulevard pilot program that will unify our communities that have been divided by transportation infrastructure. And it's a step towards making our past harms good. This funding came on the same day as the U.S. DOT announced its first-of-a-kind Reconnecting Communities pilot program, with $1 billion over 5 years for neighborhoods that were previously cut off from economic opportunities by transportation infrastructure. So I think the time is right for AASHTO to be having this discussion and to get beyond ideas and discussions to implementation. This work is not easy and does not happen quickly. We're operating in systemic structures that have built-in inequity. But that is why we're moving forward intentionally by putting people first. We're going to build trust, and we're going to continue to take meaningful steps in creating a cleaner, safer, more equitable transportation system for all. Amar said, with our now 2-year-old Caltrans Office of Race and Equity, we'll be joining you and providing additional information on some of the efforts that I mentioned already. With that, thank you for letting me participate in the discussion today with this video. Have a great rest of the meeting and look forward to seeing you around soon.